Business is FN hard.
Business is FN hard.
Business is FN hard. Business is FN hard.
Business is FN hard.
On today's episode, meet Katrena Friel, business mentor of the Becoming the Expert program in Australia.
My clients don't expect me to know everything, but what I've done is I've been able to take a soup, which is business, and boil it down into a refined sauce.
Clay Goforth, owner of Dark Horse Retail Group.
Watching their kids come out of college and be put into roles that they were not equipped to be in. I mean, the nepotism was rampant. The favoritism was rampant. It absolutely dismantled the culture for everybody else that worked there.
And Jessica James, owner of H&J Land Co. and Delta Soy.
You have to run it as a business first, and then it's a family business. And so things like making your kid go have a job somewhere else so they do work for somebody else, right?
Get ready to get real because business is FN hard. All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Business is FN Hard podcast. So excited. We've got three amazing guests today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but it's been a fun journey through. How many episodes are we at now, Joel? 24, almost to 25. So almost to another milestone, but it's been an awesome journey. I'm excited to host. I think this is my fourth or fifth time hosting, so I'm glad to be here. But we'll dive into it, get into some cool conversations because we've got people from across the great state of Arkansas and then all the way on the other side of the world from Australia. So let's go in and get some introductions done. Katrena, since you woke up early for us and are having coffee early in the morning, we appreciate you so much. But give us a quick introduction of who you are, where you're at, and what you're working on.
Well, I've been around for 25 years doing the same sort of thing, but it's obviously evolved and pivoted over the many, many decades. But I'm Katrena from Sydney, Australia, and my business is called Becoming the Expert. It's a startup opportunity for people who want to build their personal brand with 7 streams of income. So it's been a fun ride, and I look forward to continuing it. Great to be here.
Awesome. Katrena, we're glad to have you. Clay, what about you, man? You're not in Australia.
No, and I've got a very different accent from Katrena. I'm in Northwest Arkansas, born and raised in the shadows of Fortune 1, Walmart in retail land. We also have another couple of small businesses up here called Tyson and JB Hunt, and was fortunate enough to grow up here. I've got a business called Dark Horse Retail Group. I've been in the CPG, the consumer packaged goods industry for about little over 20 years now. Started Dark Horse several years ago, just in an effort to help smaller challenger brands navigate the world of retail, specifically dealing with and competing with the mega brands that dominate Walmart and Sam's Club. And so that's what we do. We've got a small team. We're a small Walmart team for hire. And we cover kind of anything from replenishment to strategy to headquarter sales, to data analytics, to e-com, anything that has to do with Walmart and Sam's. We're your team for hire. So thank you. I really appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, man. Glad you're here, Clay. And Jennifer, what about you?
Hey, I'm Jennifer James. I'm in Northeast Arkansas, a little town called Newport. And just a little tidbit of Newport history is Mr. Sam Walton and Miss Helen lived here and opened the Ben Franklin's Five and Dime before he ever started Walmart. So Absolutely. In Walmart number 18 here in Jackson County, Arkansas, we pay homage to Mr. Sam and Miss Helen and their family, and they have some roots here too. So I'm proud that they were here at one point, but they moved to the other side of the state. I am actually a fourth generation family farmer here. I grow rice, soybeans, and corn, so all commodity crops. But my family tries to specialize in anything that's value added. We grow some aromatic rices. We grow some non-GMO soybeans that go into the Japanese natto market. We grow non-GMO corn for some non-GMO poultry processors that have been in the state over the years. So we're growing commodities, but we're looking all the time to add some value to that. I also do a lot of advocacy for American agriculture, Arkansas agriculture, and specifically rice farmers. Rice farmer is where my passion lies, and advocating for them is super important to let you guys know that there's plenty of rice grown here in the U.S. for you to eat. And we hope that you turn that bag over and find that grown in the USA label on the back of your rice every time you eat it. But glad to be here.
Absolutely. Well, Jennifer, we're glad to have you. And I think we did a good job of hitting the array of accents, right? And so we got Katrena and Jennifer.
What accent? I have no idea what you're talking.
Awesome. Well, thank you, each of you, for joining us. So, we'll start the conversation and anyone can kick us off here. But, the question we like to ask is what's kicking your butt right now? So who wants to tell us their pains and wounds right now?
Well, I'll jump in there then. We'll fill the air here. In commodity production across the country, especially here in Arkansas, the cost of us to produce our goods, to produce our product is more than what we can sell it for. So as a farmer commodity, we're price takers, not price makers. We don't get to say, hey, this is what we want to sell our product for. We are at the whim of the market. And so that's pretty tough. Being in a family business is never easy, no matter what kind of business you're in, the dynamics. Sure. We still have 3 generations here actively involved. My dad is here. He's probably on his 59th crop. I'm starting my 31st, and our son will be on his 5th. So, trying to manage all that kicks my butt a lot.
Sure. And Jennifer, I'm ignorant to some of this. So can you give us just a quick snapshot education on how pricing works and what the nuances are there?
Well, there's the Chicago Board of Trade, which is obviously in Chicago. And on that board, you can look any day. Markets are open during the day and even at night now, which is something that's kind of new since I've been back farming. But that price that is listed there is, the market price. And then what they do is so buyers in my area will subtract from that price the cost of transportation, mostly at time value. So I can actually get on the market and I can sell into the Board of Trade, which is the futures, for November rice or November soybeans or December corn, and I can price off of that. But then I still have to negotiate that basis here locally for whom I'm delivering it to. Also, it's a little different than stock market, because as that price goes up, if I sell it at $10 and it goes up to $11, I have to make those margins all the way up. If it goes down, that money's coming into my account. So it's a live transaction every day, basically, and we have to work with that. Sometimes the basis can be several dollars different depending on where you are or what's happening. Close to the Mississippi River, it has been really low and not navigable during our harvest season. So that basis will widen really wide. And so we're sitting here with our grain at harvest and nowhere to go. The price is working against us. So it's a constant battle to try and pick a price that you can make money at. And in the current environment, it is, what is the price that I can lose the least?
Wow. Yeah, that's tough. And Jennifer, I definitely want to dive back into the family business stuff, because I know there's a lot of intricacies there. But Clay, Katrena, I have no experience in dealing in any business where you can't set your price, right? Like that's just novel to me. You guys have any experiences of that, or any thoughts or ideas here?
Yeah, one of my friends is a farmer and owns a mill in Southeast Texas. And he laments, kind of all the time that it's hard to make any money farming, which is why they built the mill production, honestly. Mm-hmm. And I've helped him get into and expand his retail presence. So where they're taking the commodities that they make, that they produce, turn right around and drive them, less than a half a mile into their facilities, and then mill them into pellets and grain. Like, they'll take the grains in and mill them into pellets, and then we'll make different feeds out of them. But that's my experience with it is working with him to put together, a commodity-based product offering that's saleable, not as the commodity necessarily, but at least as a value-added, like feed, animal feed product.
Sure. Katrena, what about you? You guys have any experience with these things in Sydney, or?
Well, I'm sure the farmers do. I think it's all very similar across the world with the pricing side of things. People that like us who are city folk that don't understand about the farming, I think we're scared that more and more farmers will give up, that it's just too hard. What's the point? People like Jennifer, 3 generations in, you don't want it ending with you or your son. But,
right.
I really question how you get up every day. I mean, that is friggin' hard. Really, really hard. I just want to thank you, Jennifer, for your service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Jennifer, one question. So I know in talking to my friend that's down there in Texas, he said one of the problems that he sees in the market is anytime there's a bad crop or a low production crop, you see, and that can be globally, that can be here in the U.S. It'll drive the price of that commodity up. Mm-hmm. Well, then next year, especially if you've got farmers that rotate, those farmers will look at the prices on, let's say, corn. Corn's a good example. 18 months ago, 24 months ago, corn was at an all-time high on that Chicago trade board. Well, then you had a ton of farmers decide, well, corn's the only thing that's I can potentially make money on. So then you had millions of acres of corn planted. And then you've got a surplus now, right? So all the acreages that went toward corn production has now driven the cost right back down to the bottom of the barrel, which is kind of weird. And we're not bottom of the barrel today, but we were a couple months ago. I know, do you see that same kind of thing taking place?
Sure. And it's not just in the U.S. anymore. Like corn and soybeans, we used to be king. There's probably 85 million acres in the country of both of those commodities. And now there's so much global production in South America has a lot of corn and soybeans. I'm watching the rice market all the time. It seems like I'm always chasing it. There for a long time, we would have long grain and medium grain, and the medium grain price would go up and we wouldn't have any to sell. And then it would, so then we'd all plant it, just like you'd say, we all plant it. And then the next year when I actually had it produced and had it ready to sell, the price would go down. So now we try to plant a little bit every year so that we can kind of, get those peaks and valleys out of there somewhat. But we're really fortunate here in Northeast Arkansas because we do have so many different crops we can grow in some parts of the country where they don't have as many options. And so that makes it even tougher, to chase those prices. But yeah, a good USDA report comes out and they make a change in some supply or demand or something, they found some more corn or beans somewhere and it can really shock the market. And yeah, we're certainly at the end of a lot of news cycles too these days. Everybody is, for sure.
And we haven't even mentioned the weather yet. Floods, fires. Just global warming in general, if you believe in that sort of thing. Right. I think people are believing it now.
Yeah. It's even in our businesses, Katrena, which don't nearly have the long term, I think, or macro impacts that it does on Jennifer, but just in small business, particularly in the trades, we're always impacted positively or negatively by the short term weather stance, whether it's a hurricane in Florida or a tornado in Arkansas. That's going to drive, trade service transactions pretty significantly, right? And so, last year in Northwest Arkansas, there was a boom in trade services because there was the tornado that came through in, I think, like May, maybe, right? And so you've seen a lot of activity and people hired and sort of had really, really good years. And not everyone understood, like, hey, this is an anomaly because of the storm. And then typically what we're seeing it already is now we have an over concentration of trade service providers in the market in certain trades. And they're bottoming out the price because they're like, oh, demands went down. We have too much supply. Let's bottom out the price. And there's, and I've seen this a few times, definitely in Florida when hurricanes would come through, it would be boom or bust, right? And so that's just on a very, very small scale with the stuff I deal with. I can't imagine, Jennifer, like every day having to think about those things. Like I would be drinking a lot more whiskey than coffee, I think. Yeah. So
you got to have both. You definitely have to have. Yeah.
Well, Jennifer, thanks for sharing that. And, I'm sure that's something that's going to be even, more paid attention to over this year with everything going on a macro level. But I want to hear more about the sort of the nuances and some of the challenges that you faced having 4 generations. You said 3 active, right, in your business. It's almost unheard of anymore, right? Like I talked to a guy earlier who's been in business 20 years. I was like, man, I don't talk to anyone anymore that's been in business more than 10. Obviously, I think you and Katrena have both been in it a few decades, right? But what are some of the challenges that you faced or are facing now with, having up and down generations of in one room in one business?
Well, production agriculture is very capital intensive. I mean, a combine these days is, about $1 million. So it's very difficult for young folks to get started. I mean, you have to either work your way in with a family or another operation that, may not have a successor kind of in line. And so I think it's almost necessary to have the generational aspect of it. My dad started farming in the 60s with 200 acres of soybeans. So he certainly is our builder. He began to build it. He had the dream. And then as I came in and I have a brother too that helps with a lot of it. He has a side business, or it's not a side business. He has a full-time other business that he runs too. But as we have built the equity in and diversified our operations, and I think it takes having sometimes the new eyes on things, new ideas. But gosh, my dad's 81. He can email and do all the tech stuff, and he's not far behind at all for sure. And I think it takes a lot of innovation, technology, foresight, a growth mentality, leadership mentality. We aren't big enough to have a lot of in-house services. We don't have our own HR department. We don't have our own accounting department. We don't have an in-house attorney. We don't have an in-house agronomist. So we have to know a little bit about so many things, and then we have to be smart enough to hire the right people and know where our own weaknesses are. And so I think that's the struggle between generations. It's like what my dad might have been, he was the ace at, I may not be as good at, or my husband may not be as good at. And so I think it's really important for you to find your lane, stick in your lane, know what you're good at, know what you're not good at, and be sure and bring in those folks who can shore up your business and help you be better.
Sure. Yeah. One of the things I talk about a lot with people is there's a generation in the U.S. and Katrena, you guys may be seeing this in Australia as well. Like there's a whole generation of people right now that have built really cool businesses. Maybe they started 25, 30 plus years ago, maybe even longer. We call it the boomer generation, right? But they built cool businesses. Maybe they didn't adapt as well as they could have through like the tech, periods of the 2000s and recently with social media and things. And so, maybe they're underperforming or there's some upside to them, but we say they're old, sick and tired and they hate their kids. Right. And so like, there's all these people with these businesses that are old, sick and tired and hate their kids and have no exit strategy because their business may be underperforming or whatever. Right. And so, I guess, Katrena, are you seeing that sort of, and with that, there's an opportunity to like, as Jennifer mentioned, maybe to come in as an outsider and like acquire or, become a part of these businesses and continue to grow. But are you guys seeing that in Australia? And then, you've worked with, I'm sure, a ton of entrepreneurs. What are some of the nuances in family businesses that you've seen, Katrena?
Gosh, how long's a piece of string? The dynamics of a family business are extra challenging. And what I find to be the most challenging is people that come outside of the family and work in the business. That can be a massive struggle because the people in the family business have grown up. And if they've been there the whole time, they haven't got the communication skills that the rest of us had to learn in other jobs. So you come in and you've got these terrible leadership skills, terrible communication skills, because they've never been called to be better because it was their own business. No one was going to sack them. And so when you come in from the outside and have to put up with that every day, it's sometimes just too much to bear and not worth being around. So I've seen that. I've had those conversations, and I've done a bit of work in that family business space in the leadership communication management area, because I believe there's a massive opportunity there for family businesses to be better, do better, and subsequently attract good people as opposed to turning them over and not being able to retain them or keep them engaged. It's a really frightening area for family businesses. And Jennifer, you know what I mean, like with the, yeah, I can feel the nodding going on, that it's just, that they've never been called to it. But when we were all in corporate, remember, we had to behave a certain way. We had to learn communication skills. We had to put the efforts in. Whereas some of these people just never have been, had to self-reflect or had a performance review or had negative feedback or whatever it is that the rest of us got. So,
and I think that's important too, where you have to run it as a business first, and then it's a family business. And so things like making your kid go have a job somewhere else so they do work for somebody else, right? I mean, it's not easy, but it's something we probably all should be doing. And getting out of our box a little bit and figuring out that, yes, there's other ways to run this than just the way this is the way we've always done it, right? You can't use that for sure. You have to grow and keep building it for sure.
So my dad was a business owner here in Northwest Arkansas. He owned an engineering firm for almost 50 years. And when I was younger, coming out of college, and I always, asked him, like, well, when can I come to work at the engineering company? And my dad would say, not yet. That was always his answer. And so I had to go kind of make my own path. And at first it was annoying, at least, and insulting, and that he wouldn't bring me into the company. And it wasn't until I went and worked for a company that was a family-owned business where the kids were coming into that company right out of college. I was 20. I worked for them for several years, but 27, 20, I guess it was 28, 29 years old when I went to work for them, and watching their kids come out of college and be put into roles that they were not equipped to be in. Mm-hmm. The nepotism was rampant, the favoritism was rampant, and it absolutely dismantled the culture for everybody else that worked there. And I think in the last, and it's all, I believe all things come to pass. And so I think they've seen, pretty close to like 90% turnover in the last 7 or 8 years, because they just can't keep people, good people, especially because good people won't, like the good workers, the high achievers, you run them off very, very quickly. And so it wasn't until that experience that I was able to go back to my dad and actually say, hey, thank you for not bringing me into the business. And he has since sold it, and I fortunately kind of found my own way and started my own thing. But I was able to go back to him and say, "Hey, thank you for not doing that. Thank you for not bringing me in. I didn't understand it at the time. It didn't make any sense to me in the moment. But it's probably the best thing. One of the best things you've done for me is not bringing me into the fold too early, and allowing me to go get experience elsewhere." And then when it came time to have conversations about what does it look like for me to step in and take over, I was like, well, you can't afford me now. So it's too late.
And that's the fear too, right? You don't bring them in, you send them off, and then they're like, yeah, no, I'm not coming back. Yeah.
Yeah. In high school, my last year of high school, and I don't know what you guys call it over there, but we do the final exams. And in 1986, my father lost the business, lost the house, lost the cars. We lost absolutely everything. Our politician had said, this is the recession we had to have. And we got hit before the recession even sort of began. In those days, the interest rate was like 22% or something horrendous.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And it was like a house of cards. And from that moment on, during my last year in high school, I just was obsessed, absolutely obsessed with why was business so friggin' hard. And so since then, I've always just gone on this trajectory trying to work out, why do businesses struggle? What are the challenges? And yeah, I've just been studying it ever since that very, very early experience of just losing everything when you probably need security more than ever during that time.
Sure. Katrena, brought up an interesting question for you, and Clay and Jennifer chime in as well, because I think y'all have some experience with this. But like, Katrena, for you, just from an outside perspective, it seems like a big part of your business is people are going to come to you and look to you to kind of answer questions and give advice and things like that, and like expect you to be the expert, right? And with that, there's still challenges, there's still issues. Like, there's no business that doesn't have issues or challenges, right? And like we as much as we know and as much dumb taxes we've paid in the past, we still have things that we've got to learn, right? And so like, how do you balance that and I guess your thought process, and then like your transparency with the people that you engage with, of like, hey, I need to be the expert, I need to teach you, I need to tell you these things, I need to support you and all that. And Clay, this could be like for your clients as well, right? Like trying to get into Walmart, but you don't know everything and you're going to have issues. And like, so how do you balance that, the two sides of, hey, I need to show that I've got it all together, but on the other side, like, the house may be on fire, right? Like, how do you weigh those two things?
Well, I think that the beauty of being a business mentor is that you get to say things that other people won't tell them. And so while we certainly will never be the expert on absolutely everything, I mean, that's what makes business interesting, is because there's always something new. It's a moving feast. There's all sorts of things going on. And now we've got AI. So we're about to transform completely again. And us, I'm not a boomer, I'm an Xer, but we've come in from analog to digital, and we've been there the whole time, growing, learning, changing, pivoting, and we're about to pivot again. So my clients don't expect me to know everything, but what I've done is I've been able to take a soup, which is business, and boil it down into a refined sauce. And so I'm only giving my clients the bits that they need in the order that they need it. And that's what you pay a business mentor for, is to condense the time down. So in my view, I save my clients about 5 years of time and about $75,000 in startup costs. And so, if that's what I'm doing, then I'm worth every cent. And so I teach my thing, like I've got it structured. It's a process. My clients will all tell you, follow the process. That's their advice when working with me. It's follow the bouncing ball. Don't try and jump ahead. Don't try and second guess it. Just sit back, relax, and let it all be revealed as and when. The problem is the coaching industry is not what people need at that stage. What Clay and I offer is the ability to come in and we will tell you what it is you need, because quite frankly, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So we don't want people who have no business experience in startups or getting into Walmart or whatever the issue is, because they don't know. Let us do our thing. Let us do it. Now, once you leave me after 12 months, either you say, Jesus Christ, I don't want to live without her, and they sign up for the second year. And some of my clients are in their 8th year because they love having me in their back pocket as an advisor. But I want people to go off. After a year, I've layered in all the business acumen I can give them, and I want them to go off and fly. And now they can go to the next level with a new mentor. But I don't think it's a coach that you really need. It's a mentor. Mentors tell you what to do. Coaches ask you what it is you'd like to do. And quite frankly, you won't know. What do you reckon?
Yeah. I think it's what you said is absolutely true. And I think, there are some day-to-day tactical executionary things that we have to know exactly how to do those things. Walmart operates very much off of a bunch of different portals, and you've got to have the experience and the know-how to go in and technically do it. But I think more importantly than knowing everything about the business, you can't do that a lot of the time because the Walmart world and the retail ecosphere is changing so rapidly, Katrena, because like you mentioned, AI, it's rapidly adapting because of that. It's rapidly adapting because of coming out of COVID, there were still shortages of workers to be in the stores. And so they're trying to figure out how do we do more with robotics. And so much is changing that we don't have to know everything, but we need to be the first people that know, among the first people that know about the changes. And what that lets us do is inform our clients about things that they need to be expecting coming down the pipe. And I can give a couple of examples, one being Walmart department by department is implementing a mandatory RFID code on RFID codes on packaging. So that adds cost, that adds labor, that adds a lot of time spent outside of the normal operations to go figure out, well, where do we get these RFID tags from? How do we program them? All this, kind of extra these people are not typically tech people. These people are manufacturers or marketing, basically marketing brands. And so, but if we know when it's coming and we're early to the conversation, then we can prepare them to get ahead of the curve, and they're not just sitting there on the day that they get the email from Walmart that says you've got to implement RFIDs and you've got 6 months to do it. We give them access to what's going on here in Northwest Arkansas way ahead of the curve. And so I think another example would be Walmart is in the process of readjusting their terms and having conversations around terms. So used to, terms were set, meaning you were 2%, usually 2% 45, net 60 or net 70, something like that. Well, now your payment terms are a direct mathematical equation to your inventory turns, meaning if your retail turns, meaning how fast you turn over your inventory, if that's 90 days or 120 days, they're in the process, again, department by department, they're rolling this out where your payment terms are getting extended out to whatever your average retail inventory turn timing is.
Oh, wow.
That can be devastating to the cash flow of a company if they're not prepared ahead of time to do that. But because we're at home office every single week. We're having conversations with merchant teams every single week. We're negotiating on behalf of our clients every single week. And because we're across almost every department in the store, we get to take a learning from a conversation we have in one department and then roll it out across the rest of our client base. And that's so we don't have to know everything. We just have to know things first.
Sure.
And then guide them in, costing is another thing of like preparing that Walmart, and I'm trying not to speak ill. Walmart's been great to me. And so, but there are things that they do that present challenges day to day. And one of those is their costing structure. So used to Walmart was EDLC, EDLP. That's everyday low cost, everyday low price, no TPRs, no temporary price reductions. Seldom was there a rollback. That was kind of Walmart's version of a temporary price reduction, but rollbacks were always done in an effort to see if you moved enough volume at that lower cost to justify staying at that lower retail. So, but now today with additional fines and fees, things that didn't exist in the P&L previously, you can very quickly get underwater as a brand if you don't know going into the conversation. Hey, I do need to build in something for on time and in full fines. I need to build in something for SQEP fines and fees potentially. I need to build in something for defectives. I need to build in something for warehouse handling. Mm-hmm. I need to build in a spend on Walmart Connect, which is Walmart's new kind of newish marketing digital marketing platform. I need to build in a little bit for Scintilla, which is their data platform. They used to not ever charge for data. And so now what used to be, hey, take your cost, tack on the 12, 15% margin that you need to make, and that's your profit, and roll that out. Now, we're advising clients like you're going to have to build in 6, 8, 10% and on top of what you need to make, because you're going to see claims, deductions, off invoice deductions for all of these things. And so, yeah, that's back to kind of to consolidate and answer the question is you don't have to know everything, but you just got to know things first.
Sure. That's good insight, Clay. And I think, for both, your world and Jennifer's, like, for those of us that are outside of it, like, it's mind boggling, right? Like, it's like, oh, you send some to the store, put it on the shelf, it sells, you get some money, right? Like that's sounds simple, but I know it's not anywhere near that. But
that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Sounds like it, right?
Yeah.
I just like to add the 12 to 15% to your price. I just want to be able to do that. I'm for that.
Yeah. Jennifer's like, I'll take that all day. Yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, it's been awesome to talk to you. Two things that have come to my mind as we've been talking. I just want to put a plug in here at some point, but is the two of my favorite books. One is Sam Walton's Made in America. So, Katrena, you're probably the only one on the call that hasn't read that, right? But it's an amazing book, and it's an awesome story of Sam Walton's kind of journey at starting Walmart. And so, when Jennifer mentioned Newport, like, I thought of that, and then obviously Clay's on the other end of the cycle now, right? But great book, highly recommend it. And then Jennifer, one thing that I thought about when you were talking is I think it's called The Travels of a T-Shirt in a Global Economy. I don't know if you've ever read that, but it talks about like how particularly like cotton from like West Texas kind of turns and like where it goes and how it ends up maybe in a shirt that was made in Thailand or something, right? And so two really, really cool reads for people to check out. But thank you, all three of you, for your time. And again, Katrena, thank you for waking up and starting your Saturday with us. Hopefully you have an awesome day. But to close this out, what I ask each of you to do, and Jennifer, we'll start with you, is, give us a quick, just, either elevator pitch or just snapshot of your business. And for anyone that's listening or is interested in talking with you, how did they get a hold of you?
Well, I have a blog and a podcast. I recently started a podcast. They're both under my tagline, Feel Good Life. You can find me online. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, for sure, LinkedIn. And so my podcast and my blog mainly are about agriculture and just how to be successful in your business, no matter what that is. I try to add in just kind of some real life stuff and like just what I do to try to get up in the morning and be successful and things like that. And then my last plug is eat U.S. grown rice.
Awesome. Thanks, Jennifer. Clay, what about you, man?
Yeah, I think we are leaning in heavily into the digital side at Walmart, and so for people to get a hold of us, it's darkhorseretailgroup.com. My email is just clay@darkhorseretailgroup.com. My one plug, I guess, for the company overall is I firmly believe that our organization gets you into the best position you can possibly be in to enter the Walmart ecosphere. So we've got kind of a proprietary path that we've put together that we take. It's been reviewed and seen by DMM, director of merchandising level folks within Walmart. I've shared it with those are friends of mine, had them take a look at it, and they're like, if more agencies would do what you guys are doing, they'd have a lot better success rate at getting on shelf. And so that's my plug for anybody out there that has a brand, has an item, has a dream of being in retail, being found on retail stores. We'd love to talk to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Clay. And Katrena, take us home here.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been so wonderful talking to you, and I wish America all the very, very best in their next chapter. We're all watching with bated breath as the economy moves and flexes and does what it does. So good luck, everyone.
Thank you for putting that so eloquently, Katrena. We appreciate it.
I hope everyone gets through it. But look, if anyone's sitting there with a business or sitting in their corporate life and not that fulfilled and finding that there's no meaning left in that for them, then a personal brand business is usually the next step. It's low risk, high margins. It's an amazing model that we've put together. Visit me on becomingtheexpert.com.au and jump on for a free discovery session where I can just sit with you for an hour and really discover your field of excellence and what that looks like and how 7 streams of income can be applied to that. So it's an interesting conversation if you want to have it. I certainly love giving people just crystal clear clarity on what's possible in this particular world. The world is very magical and there's lots of opportunities still to be had. So keep your chin up, everybody. Things aren't changing, but being an entrepreneur means we're very, very used to change and we're very, very used to pivoting. So get used to it. It's a bumpy ride.
Absolutely. And Katrena, I don't want to get off before. Can you give just a quick intro to your book and where to find it?
Oh, look, I've got so many books, but I don't really focus on books too much because there's not. It's really more around the free discovery session. And one of my books, Becoming the Expert, is the day one of curriculum. Okay. So it's day one. It's the full business planning day that we do. So I don't really sell it as a book without me sitting beside you. Yeah. So it's kind of different in that sense. It's like a workbook, really.
Yeah. Gotta have Katrena before you get the book, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you. And Gerald, this was a great 24th episode. I think we hit a home run with the guests, man. It was a great conversation. And anyone that's listening, please join us on the 25th episode. I think it may be is this going to be our first Spanish one, Gerald? Yeah. So first episode in Spanish next Tuesday. So please join us. But thank you all for your time. Let's go have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Hey there, Calvin Smith here, professional EOS implementer and entrepreneur just like you. For the last 15 years, I've built businesses from the ground up, some that have soared and some that nearly broken. I felt the chaos, worn the hats, and hit the ceilings more times than I can count. And then I found EOS. The Entrepreneur Operating System is not theory. It's a simple, practical framework that gave me clarity, control, and traction in my own companies. It completely changes the way I lead and live. So now I'm super excited. I get to help business owners and leadership teams like you implement EOS so you can break through, get alignment, and actually enjoy running your businesses again. So if you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or just want to build something stronger and more fulfilling, EOS is exactly what you've been looking for. I'm excited to talk to you. Let's go.